Good morning, everybody. I am so excited that you are here and listening to this video today. Welcome back from spring break. I know it was a little bit non-traditional, but I hope you got to watch a new show. You got to spend some time with family, obviously quarantined and not going out because that is the point of us being home and e-learning. Welcome to Algebra Online. This is going to be an adventure for all of us. So if you have any questions as we go through, I'm going to go ahead and put my email at the bottom here so my email is memory@tchowhighschool.org. If you need to contact me, that's a really easy way. Or you can also call my Google Voice number, 317-620-1670. I'm happy to take any questions or concerns or things that you need over that number at any time as well. So let's talk about what we're doing this week and kind of how this is going to work first. If you see here, I have our calendar for April started. Every day we'll talk about kind of first what the calendar looks like. So you see April 6th, this is where we are right now. This whole week, we are going to be starting a new topic of factoring. And today and tomorrow, we're going to do something called the GCF, the greatest common factor. Wednesday, Thursday, we're going to do difference of squares. And Friday is going to be our exit ticket day. Some things to note here. First, you see two little yellow stars on our calendar. Those little yellow stars, and I have that over here to the right for you. A yellow star means that those assignments are going to be graded, and that is an opportunity for you to get credit and get points for the work that you're doing. Our assignments are going to be pretty short, and so we also on Friday have this pink star. That's where we're going to do our exit ticket. A pink star means that any points that you get on this exit ticket are going to be able to replace any points that you might have missed on assignments earlier in the week. So because we don't have a 10-day makeup window, I built that into every single week so that you have the chance to get points back as we go. If you have any questions, please be sure to stop into my Zoom today, but otherwise we're going to go ahead and get started. Every single day for our notes and our practice, you're going to need just a notebook, a pencil, or a piece of lined paper. I'm going to ask that you keep all of these if you have like a folder, if you have a stapler or a paper clip that you can clip them all together so that you can go back and reference. But I'm going to give you about 20 seconds if you don't already have it in front of you to go ahead and get that notebook or get a lined piece of paper in front of you so we're ready for today. Okay, so as you see on the very top here, I'm going to ask you to copy down what we see in the yellow box. So just like we would start off any other day in class, we're going to go ahead and we're going to get our paper set up. We've done this before, so we're pretending this is my lined paper. Here's the red bar going down the side, the blue bar on the top. And we're going to go ahead and put our title, Factoring Polynomials. We're going to talk about what factoring means today using a GCF, that greatest common factor. And then we're going to go ahead and copy these do now problems. This is a review of distributing. And so I want you to go ahead and take the next 2 minutes to give these 3 problems a try, and we'll talk through the answers in about 2 minutes. Remembering we are getting everything so far in this yellow box copied. So we have our title, we have our do now, and our 3 problems that we're working on distributing using what we know about multiplying exponents, adding exponents, and combining like terms. Take about 60 more seconds to get your paper set up and this do now situated. Everything in that yellow box is copied. About 30 more seconds. I'm going to go ahead and remove this box so that if you're feeling a little stuck, you can go ahead and get yourself started on some hints. Actually, going to go ahead and move this little bar up out of the way a little too for us. There we go. All right, let's go ahead and start to take a look at these problems. You see I have them started, but they're not totally done because I haven't paid attention to my exponent rules that we talked about the last couple weeks. So I'm going to go ahead and review. When I multiply my exponents, I'm going to distribute to everything in both parts of my parentheses. So when I do this, I'm going to take my a times my 3a, which is going to leave me with a 3a to the second power, because a times a gives me a squared. And then I'm going to just add my a times 7, which leaves me with my 7a. So this should be the final answer you get for the first part. The next piece that I'm looking at, I'm doing the same thing for example 2. I'm distributing everything outside those parentheses by everything on the inside of the parentheses because I want to share that love. So when I take my negative 2m times my m to the third power, I'm going to get my negative 2m to the third, because m squared and another m, when we add those exponents, gives us that m to the third. Negative 2m times a positive 6m gives us negative 12m squared. I'm multiplying those numbers and adding my exponents together. And then I have negative 2m times negative 1. And I see here that I've actually made a mistake because negative 2 times negative 1 gives us a positive 2. So I'm going to go ahead and fix that. And I also left off my m. So I'm going to go ahead and add my m to the last part of my problem. And my last piece that I have, I need to multiply my 5xy into my x and into my negative y times 2. So I have 5x to the second power times y minus 10x by itself times that y squared when I distribute everything in. So that's just a quick little review of where we've come from, what we were talking about with multiplying those exponents. Today we're going to talk about a new topic, so we're going to go ahead and start by defining what factoring actually is and what it means. So today, when we think about our new process of factoring polynomials, which is our main objective, we're going to think about factoring as the process of separating a polynomial. Let me move this down a little bit so we can all see. When we think about factoring, again, we are thinking about factoring as the process of separating our polynomials. So I'm going to give you a second to get that definition copied. Sometimes we are not able to separate our polynomials, and if we can't factor something, we call that polynomial a prime polynomial because it is already as simple and as separated as it can be. Again, we're copying everything in that yellow box, so we're getting down our definition of factoring as the idea of separating our polynomials. So instead of combining them to get things like we solved for in our do now, we're going to separate it to get the original problem. Take about 30 more seconds to get that situated. And then once we have those definitions of factoring copied, we're going to go ahead and we're actually going to talk about what it means to factor using this greatest common factor. So let's go ahead, let's slide this down a little bit, and let's see what we are actually focusing on today and tomorrow, which is our greatest common factor. What we're going to be looking for today in our terms in order to separate and break down those polynomials is what do all of our terms share. So what we're going to look at today is we're going to look at a series of practice problems. So we're going to look at 1 through, let's go ahead and bring, oopsies. We're going to go ahead and we're going to look at 1 through 11. And then you, for your assignment for today, are going to be doing 2 through 12. So we're going to do the even numbers together as your assignment, and you are going to be doing with me these odd numbers. So let's remember our definition of that greatest common factor. We're looking for something that all of our terms share. So when I look at my 3x and my 12, I want to think about what number or letter can I take out of both of these terms. So first I'm going to think about my number I'm gonna look at my numbers. I see a 3 and a 12. And I know that 3 goes into 3. And I know that 3 also goes into 12. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to write down that 3 because I know I can take it out of both of my pieces. So I have my 3. Now, when I look at the problem again, I see that there's an X in the first part of my problem, but there's no X in the second part. So I know I can't take out a letter. So I'm going to stop at just taking out my number. And I am going to go ahead and I'm going to see now what I have left over. So if I take out a 3 of my problem, I am going to see when I divide both of my pieces by 3. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do this in a way so we can see what we're looking at. I'm going to divide this first part by 3 and I'm divide the second part by 3 because I'm taking it out of my term. 3x divided by 3 is going to leave me with just an x left over. And 12 divided by 3 is going to leave me with a 4 left over. So if I take out my 3 and my x plus 4, I am going to see that is taking out my greatest common factor and I see what's left back over. Let's go ahead and take a look at our next problem, our 5x plus 30y. So first thing I'm thinking about, step 1, is what number can I go ahead and take out of this problem that both the first term and the second term share. So in my first term, my 5x, I know that 1 and 5 go into 5x, and I know that 30y, that there is 1 and 30 that goes into 30, 2 and 15, 3 and 10, but I also know that 5 goes into 30. So I see that 5 is a common factor. It's a number that both of them share. So I'm going to take out a 5, and then I need to decide, is there a letter that both of them share? Well, the 5 and the x get multiplied together, the 30 and the y get multiplied together, so there is no letter that they both share. So I can't take out a letter that's common for both of them. So I'm just going to go ahead and divide by that common factor, that 5 that I found that goes into both of my terms. And when I divide both of these terms by 5, I see what I'm going to be left with for the inside of my parentheses. So I see 5x divided by 5 is going to leave me just with that x. And the 30y divided by 5, 30 divided by 5 is going to leave me with 6. And the y is going to stay just like it is because it can't be divided. Let's go ahead and try one more for today so that you can go ahead and try for tomorrow just problems 2, 4, and 6. So what we have is we have 6a to the second power and 27. I know that 6 goes into 6a squared, but it doesn't go into 27. So I think about what other numbers go into 6, and I know that 3 goes into 6, and so does 27. So I know I can divide it by 3. And I see there's an a squared here, but there's no a on this side, so I can't divide by any numbers outside of that 3, and the letters don't share. So I'm going to end up with 2 when I take 6a squared divided by 3, 2a to the second power, and I'm going to write it with my little caret. And 27 divided by 3 is going to leave me with 9. So when I take out my 3 on the outside, I'm going to be left with this on the inside. We've gone through 3 examples today. We're going to walk through some more examples tomorrow, but what I would like you to do for tomorrow is I would like you to give these first 3 problems a go. So I would like you to try problems 2, problems 4, and problem 6 for tomorrow. I'm going to give you a second to go ahead and get those copied. They will also be online in the Google Doc and in that Google Drive if you need it at the tiny URL. Please shoot me a text or an email if you have any questions, and have a great rest of your day. Thanks, everybody.